Let's talk about black music.
What do you want to know?
Well, what do you want to tell me? Let's assume, and this is the truth, that I don't know anything at all about particularly American black music. Where would I start if I were wanting to learn about this? I mean, because I am ignorant of it. All I know about black music is I like the Coasters real well.
Yeah, well, that's a good place to start.
Mm-hmm. And what's the logical thing to progress to?
Oh, no, I sort of digested black music by sort of listening to what the different labels produced. You know, I first got into Atlantic label out of New York, and then Detroit label with Motown, and you know, gradually sort of wandered around listening to the sounds of the different cities. You know, because there's obviously a hell of a lot of it, and I sort of see it as the basis of rock and roll, and also the innovative edge of rock and roll. So I like to listen to the new stuff, even though possibly my heart lies with the old. So.
Of the newer stuff, do you have a particular favorite?
Oh, I really like Luther Vandross, and there's a lot of tracks here and there I like by the sort of funk bands. But I'm not an enormous rap fan, even though I play some of the high points, you know, in the show I do. But basically I'm not much of a rap fan. It belongs to a different generation to my own. It's very much the new young kids' music, rap.
And I remember you told me before that you had a rather profound experience regarding Otis Redding records and your religion.
Oh, I'm a very big fan of Otis Redding. And at a time in my teenage years where I was embracing the gospel of Christ and letting it rule my life, the one thing I wouldn't let go of was all my Otis Redding records, thank God. And I kept all them. And I still regard Redding as the greatest soul man ever. Because he was not actually an innovator in any real sense. He just sort of took that sort of genre that people like Sam Cooke and James Brown and all that got started and did it as good as anyone else has ever done. All in a few years. So, big Otis Redding fan. Plus he didn't have a chip on his shoulder, and some of those early people, I think, did. He's a real modern black man in the sense of just without the sort of prejudice that some of those people have, earlier people.
It seems to me, with you being as big a fan of soul music as you are, that you would have been to America more times than you have.
It's a question of money and time. I'd like to go there, all the time, but live there even maybe. But one is confined by reality, whether it be financial or work situation. And anyway, music crosses boundaries, and I think, legitimately any music from any culture can be enjoyed courtesy of the technology available to us today. And that's why I enjoy the fact that the Maori people of New Zealand embrace reggae and make it something that they own and they, enjoy. So I could potentially embrace and enjoy black music without ever leaving here.
But it just seems like the logical thing to do to get more into black music than you already are, be to go to America.
Yeah. But then if these people toured here, there'd be absolutely no reason to leave New Zealand, I mean, if James Brown or a soul man played every weekend in town, well, the people in London who can see a soul act every night of the week, a great American soul act every night of the week, are very lucky, because a person living in New York would see one a month.
Well, they go where the money is.
Some people never, And yet American soul people who don't even perform live in America will pick up a band and do London.
Yeah. Well, that's because traditionally the black stuff's always really done well there. starting even with stuff like Nat King Cole, you know.
Yeah, Motown, you know, I mean, Motown did well in London once it took off.
Mm-hmm.
No stopping it. So it's quite conceivable to stay here in a way, but I mean, you know yourself, the attraction of America for me as a black music fan is picking up 20 albums for 49 cents each in 20 minutes. Or less. I mean, that's a bargain in every sense of the word.
Mm-hmm.
And you're listening at, obviously, yeah, that's the reason to go there, is to get cheap records, basically. And to get records you've never read about, you've never heard, you've never seen.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, with now there's a black entertainment network on television. There's heaps of black radio, which if you sifted through all of it, you'd eventually find the good black radio.
Mm.
You know, the stuff that isn't strictly confined to being urban rap and whatever. But
Yeah, I don't know, but even whatever field of music you are, you're probably not going to find the ultimate on radio.
no, that's why it is.